How many of you know who Mirantis is? A sizable chunk. So we are a company that does a lot of OpenStack integration projects. And so here, I'm going to tell you a story about how we try to teach, how to install an OpenStack in 20 minutes. How do we? Oops. Somebody is using our IP address. How about a goat? To do it in under 20 minutes. So, how many of you have tried to install OpenStack? Okay. And how easy is it to install OpenStack if you're just starting out? How would you say? So, we kind of discovered the same thing. So, there are some characters here. Many of you who are in the community know who Boris is. Boris is a very outspoken member of the board, of OpenStack board. He's also a co-founder of Mirantis. Roman, of course, is our head of engineering. So he is the engineering brains, not the only ones, but some of the engineering brains behind Mirantis. And this is a very, very smart goat that we found. So let's go on with the story. So which button do I press? This one. Okay. So just to put things into context, when we say we do an OpenStack implementation project, what does it mean? It typically means getting the build automation infrastructure for OpenStack deployment, which is just OpenStack and things around it. We've done about 50 plus of those at Mirantis to date, and here are some of the names of the customers that we have. And so those of you who tried it can kind of relate. So to be able to successfully do a OpenStack implementation, you have to know Linux as an operating system, and networking, and virtualization, and be able to write Python code, and Ruby, and Puppet, and Cobbler, and Chef for configuration management. So those of you who kind of raised your hands and you managed that, you've got to be pretty smart, I must say. So, when you think about it, it kind of creates a problem, because where we work, and our engineering, one of our large engineering centers is actually in Saratov. How many of you know where Saratov is? Okay, so those of you who know where Saratov is can relate, but there are actually not that many smart people. By the way, Mirantis hired pretty much all of them. And those of you who kind of remember the Borat story knows that Saratov is not that far from Kazakhstan. And that being the case, while it doesn't have many smart people, it does have plenty of goats. So we said, how can we take advantage of that geolocational position? And here you can see my face there in the corner. So the strategic minds of this company thought about it and defined the corporate strategy. How about we build an OpenStack automation library that's good enough for goat? And we'll call it Fuel. So strategists do strategy things, but then you have to sort of find people who will actually execute it. So we went to the people who execute it. So the first person we went to was Roman. We said, Roman, you're from Saratov, so you know what to do. Go build us a library. Roman said, no problem. Then we went to Boris, who is Mr. Outspoken and creative guy in general. And we said, you got to teach the goat. And he said, no problem. So lo and behold, let's talk about what is it that Roman built. So when we built our 30 implementations roughly by hand, we kind of learned what it takes to actually set up an OpenStack cloud. And we've developed quite a bit of experience. And out of that, some other smart people in Saratov mostly have given us a list of what's required to stand up an OpenStack cloud. So first of all, it's important to have an OpenStack reference architecture with high availability in it. We use Puppet, so Puppet manifest deploy an OpenStack, Cobbler-based bare metal provisioning. OpenStack packages. We're package agnostic, so we support CentOS, Rail, and Ubuntu. Support of Essex and Folsom, and Grizzly, I believe, it's either has been released just recently or about to be released. And of course, the configuration guide, because a Go must be able to follow instructions. Now, the deployment configuration, we have single node, multi-node, and multi-node with HA, and there are different configurations around it, with or without Swift, and with or without Want. Now, why is that? Why is so many, different configurations? Because as we discovered during those 30 manual implementations, that every OpenStack is really different. So here's an example why. They all want, they all call it OpenStack, but in reality they're very, very different. Use cases are different, implementations are different, and they look very differently as well. So, Fuel library consists of scripts that are really easy to modify, and those people who know how to do it can actually modify this environment, and it's actually very flexible, and you can very quickly adjust it to any of the environment. So, in addition to automation, it's actually configurability, flexibility out of the box. How does it work? At first, an admin creates a master node and just puts basic fuel on it, which puts cobbler and puppet master. Once it's there, you create, you enter hardware in the cobbler and just, execute, code on those nodes, which installs the, does bare metal provisioning, installs the operating system and puppet agent. And then it just picks an OpenStack deployment configuration and settings on Puppet, boom, you're done. So simple, right? If you're, but how can you tell if it's simple or not? Let's see if the goat can get it. So first thing, Boris went and found the goat. Goat didn't understand Git repo. Was it a long, hard conversation? Kind of simple here. Just follow this and you see the library. Go get it. Then Boris tried to show the fuel portal. You go in, you log in, you have the instructions, you download the fuel packages, you follow the installation instructions. When you have questions, you just file an online report and you get an answer, and it's pretty straightforward. A Goat looked at it and said, nah, too difficult. Script isn't good. To install OpenStack, gotta have UI. So that was a failure. So chapter 3 is Roman has to go and build UI for the Goat. So what did the UI for the Goat do? It's a web-based OpenStack management tool built on top of Fuel library. It's a bit less flexible than the library itself, but it's actually very visual and intuitive and makes it a lot easier to spin and manage your OpenStack cloud. So basically, it's kind of simple. You have the library kind of in the middle of this, but the operator works off of the Fuel web. So you do a master node ISO install, and then you go into web UI, you do a hardware discover, and then essentially it will do an OpenStack deployment and management. So here we're supposed to go to a live demo, but I was told I don't have the time for it. So I'll show you how it looks at the end of this presentation, which is we're pretty much there. But I did run, I just went out and I did run an installation of OpenStack Cloud outside, like for 25 minutes. So I should have something there, and we'll see how it ended. But essentially, it will look something like this, where you have a very simple UI. You can actually see your cloud and navigate it, and you have logs on the left side, and essentially that's the thing that you can get. And Boris showed it to the Goat, and then the Goat finally got it, and said, yeah, Fuel web is the shit. So that was the success. So that's the story, and essentially HA pipe addresses for Goat, available over here, completely open source. You're welcome to tap into it and and then contribute here and log your feedback. And before we go to Q&A, let me see if I can show you kind of live how this thing looks. See if I can figure out. Yeah, there you go. So, how do you make it present? It went into different resolution here. I know, the goat is not just presenting like this. Green button. Green button? This one, magic, you're right. So, yeah, it doesn't show you the whole thing. It doesn't fit in this resolution. But what you can see here is, yeah. Scale. No, large and text is on the thing. I think we can go from here. So I can just close this and then use a green button somewhere. And I think let's see. Magic. I can probably do this too. The goat will be proud of us. It now shows a much smaller thing, but again, what you can see here is, here essentially we installed OpenStack Cloud, which has one controller. We didn't do a J here, multiple controllers, and then 2 compute nodes. And for each of the installations that looks like it finished okay, you can actually see the logs of actually what took place. And you can then go inside and see logs for each node as to what happened. And it's all green, so things actually executed well. I'm using Oracle VirtualBox, to run the boxes. And then as you're doing configurations, here are your network setting, and here's your hardware discovery, so you can sort of verify networks and kind of run the tests and see if things are okay. You can set up different parameters, what schedules, what hypervisor types, and so on and so forth. And then this is your logs. And then when you're done, you do deploy changes here. And that's what I did outside. And it ran for 25 minutes actually to get this thing going. And now we have full OpenStack. So I think if you click here, it should just give us Horizon. And you can go from there. Thank you very much. Any questions? Okay, I heard one question. What is our business model since it's all open source? So our business model is 3 ways. First of all, we monetize the services, and you've seen some of the customers, and a lot of the customers were trying to do thought leadership type implementations. They're buying services from us. So that's one early revenue stream. Second is we are integrating Fuel as a standard orchestration tool for many of the implementations. And you don't have to pay money for this today, but the idea is that OpenStack is a train that is moving very, very fast. And so if you are a user that is not interested in spending a lot of time trying to align with the moving train, you would like to put, to rely on somebody who will give you the standard and the upgrade path to standard. And so for that, you can pay subscription, and Fuel is your sort of, the scheduler, so to speak, of that train. And we will not only guarantee you production OpenStack support and Fuel support, but also the upgrade path. And depending on the size of your implementation, will cost more or less. And finally, as we will be adding new features onto Fuel, and a lot of those features are coming from our forward-looking services organization that acts as a product management organization for Fuel. Fuel is about 6 months behind the most forward-looking implementations. We also have a very large contributions team that's working to actually contribute into different parts of OpenStack so that we can bring our customers' ideas back into core. As we do that, we will eventually release an enterprise version also that will give a lot of sort of standard model. And also we're doing a lot of integrations now with hardware vendors who are looking to standardize again into the cadence of the OpenStack training. So you just saw there was an announcement earlier with Juniper. There'll be a lot more announcements to come in the next couple of weeks. So that's the business model. I mean, it's open source, but I don't know if it ought to be an official OpenStack project, because it's about the ability to take various pieces of OpenStack configuration that will only become more and more complex and keep them going. So making that, it's like a meta project OpenStack ecosystem by definition, but we will make it open source, and we will want our partners to integrate there as they learn what it takes to, the different usage models of OpenStack. So it will become very rich and complex, but it's designed to be a meta OpenStack technology. Some questions over there. All right, well, thank you very much.